A land where there's no law, there's going to be action, there's going to be consequences.
Congratulations on Chapter 1. Making an American Western in this day and age is a big risk, and you've been working on this since 1988. What is it about this era and these characters that you just couldn't let go of?
Well, I think when you really think about the West as being more than a land in Disneyland, you realize the drama that had happened out there. And it wasn't always surrounding a gunfight. It was crossing a river. It was realizing that the promise, the piece of paper, meant nothing to the people who had been there for thousands of years, that water could get you killed. There's a drama that happens there. And in the midst of all the drama, there's just people trying to survive so that their children would have a better life. If you like number 1, Chapter 2 gets harder for them. It doesn't get easier. And you realize, oh my God, this is a journey. So what did I want for audiences to feel like when they go to the theater and the lights go out, that they're going to go on a journey.
Sienna, I understand you're a big fan of Westerns, like Kevin's Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
What is it like to work with the legend himself?
It really doesn't disappoint. He's so generous and kind and enthusiastic and supportive. I felt very nurtured by him and his enthusiasm and the depth at which he'd explored these scripts and this, he's like a historical kind of doctor of this period. So we were in very capable hands. He's a lovely man.
Luke, like Sienna, you're a big fan of Kevin's films. What's it like hanging out with your boss at a Yankees game, no less?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I sent the picture of me and Kevin at the game to a few friends with the caption, "Two American Legends."
Yes!
I'm one of the older members of the cast, and but Will Patton, for instance, he worked with Kevin in a few movies, but it was such a thrill for me to get to be around him, and honestly, sometimes it was a struggle to kind of get past the fact that I needed to really listen and concentrate on his direction. I'd be looking at him like, it would be my 8th grade self, the 13-year-old version of myself, thinking like, this is Elliot Ness from The Untouchables, and he's talking to me. This is great.
How did you prepare for a movie like this? There's so much rich American history.
I imagined that my character was from Massachusetts. I found this poet called Elizabeth Bishop. There are some recordings of her later in life in the early 1900s reading poems, so I got the cadence of her voice. And then there's lots of literature and images and as always, imagination. I think a lot of that is how I prepare.
And half your job is done for you when you get on the set. They build a life-size garrison, and there's actual 20 soldiers riding in on horses. I think it kind of makes your dress-up day kind of easier.
And your son Hayes has a great role in the film. Are you excited? Are you ready for the world to discover his talent?
Well, I never pushed him into acting. He probably never even talks about it, but I had a chance. There was a smaller role. I thought it was important. He's also, I named him the character's name, 13 years ago. So I knew I had to make this.
You guys are both phenomenal actors. What did you learn about your craft or yourselves through making this film?
Man, that's a good question.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're only as good as your other actor, so I got lucky. Because she is spectacular.
Likewise.
She is, because that's who you're in the scene with, and you're trying to, work out what these characters want and what they need, and you have to have someone who's as spectacularly as talented as Sienna in order to bounce off.
I think learning, also just seeing Kevin as well and the way that he directs. This was a big budget film, but it felt like an independent film. And if the light was beautiful on that canyon over there, we would run in kind of dirt, whatever whack vehicle things. What are they called?
Dune buggy.
Like quad bike vibes to shoot in that light. It was like guerrilla style filmmaking on a huge budget movie, and that passion was wonderful.
Now, the three of you went to the big premiere in Cannes and got a standing ovation. What was that experience like?
It was epic. I mean, France is known for really praising directors and having great respect for them. So to see Kevin get that kind of reaction after the movie was very moving, and his family was there, and to kind of see these waves of applause hit, and then to see Kevin get hit with emotion. I mean, I'll never forget it. And just seeing his expression, and then, he stopped the applause to where he said, okay, I'll say something, to where he didn't want to speak before the movie and he didn't want to speak after the movie, but, this applause kept going and going and going, and, I'd never seen anything like it. And then he gave a very, moving speech and talked about his kids and the people there. And then, I've since heard him talk about it, and he said at one point the sound kind of went away, and he kind of went back over his life and went back over his career and went back to the beginning. And I think we all feel very fortunate to have been a part of history with him.
I grew up on Dances with Wolves. My dad literally, to this day, falls asleep to it every single night. What makes Horizon different?
I think that it invests in the humanity and the struggle more than a gunfight. And I have the gunfights. I have the fights, because we knew that a land where there's no law, there's going to be action, there's going to be consequences. And so that has to find itself in. But if you don't invest in the people and what the struggle was, what the confusion was, what the unfairness of all of it, you can understand the anger that the Native Americans had. They burnt that town down. They're going to keep burning it down. They lived there. This is their home.
Yeah.
They weren't fighting for land. They were fighting for their neighbor, for their wife, for their way of life, their religion.
Yeah.
So we were fighting for, we can make a city here. I don't know. I love that conflict.
Okay.
Hate it and love it.
Like the video? Then hit the button, or better yet, drop us a comment. Then check out our latest videos here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button here for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news.